All right. Alana Jaylo.
Yes.
We just had a experience in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was fun, but tell me your take on it.
Fun, but slightly frustrating.
Tell me, what was frustrating about it?
Well, it wasn't just that I had.
By the way, to interject, I had
Yes.
a really fun time in the kitchen today.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I know, I felt like, because this morning I was really tense because I woke up late and I was rushing in the store to buy ingredients. But when we started working in the kitchen, I actually felt really, really laid back.
Oh, good.
But tell your side of the story.
No, I was okay for the most part actually, and it was a good experience. And this was my first time making paninis and hummus, and fries. But some things kind of happened where I had some problems with the food processor because I don't use yours very much.
And we should maybe say that I love hanging out in the kitchen and cooked and have taught people how to cook. Mm-hmm. And the kitchen isn't really your area of expertise.
No, it isn't. It is getting better. I will say that since we've been cooking together. But yeah, we had an interesting time.
Tell me what frustrated you, because at one point you said you were frustrated with me.
Yeah, I was. Well, I really wanted to do it really well, and there were times where you kind of laughed. You were kind of laughing, but I wasn't sure if it was at me or if it was because of the situation.
Oh, give me an example.
I think it was a food processor.
Oh, that's true. So you didn't put on the lid right, and
I didn't.
I
knew I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I started laughing at you.
Yeah, you did. And I can't remember the other stuff, but it's like I don't know how to think about this.
I also look at it like it's better to laugh at a situation than to like get up in your face and start yelling about what's going on.
No. And I'm glad you didn't do that because if you did, I would have been mad at you the whole day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking to you at all, and I would have to have like a whole day to recover.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't do that then.
No, I don't think you would have been the kind of person to do that.
So what's a good approach in the future when something like this happens?
Well, my thing is, because I know that you like to make sure that whoever you're cooking with is doing not just a good job, but is safe, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
But there are times where I'm like, could you just let me do this? I just want to do this and learn it. And sometimes I have to learn on my own.
Do I take over too much in the kitchen?
I think today you kind of did.
Okay.
But for the most part you don't.
Okay.
And I know that if I ever had to have an explanation, you would tell me. But I think today you did.
I took over too much.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's just because like I've been doing it for a while, and I've worked with people who aren't necessarily. And again, saying this makes it sound like I'm this ego person, like I'm a great chef or something, right? And the truth of the matter is, I'm a great cook, or I'm a better than average cook, but I'm a great cook in comparison to people who don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, right?
And I've tasted, I've tasted people's food, and you could tell, you really could.
Yeah.
Who has spent more time in the kitchen and who hasn't?
Yeah.
Right. So. And it's good that you are so particular about certain things too. It's good that you want the person to be safe. You also want it to taste good, and you put extra effort into spices and things like that.
Did I seem over particular today when it came to the cutting of the potatoes?
No.
No.
I mean. I'm glad you told me because if you didn't, I probably would have cut myself. Yeah. No, it was fine.
Okay.
I was okay with that. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I was okay. But in the future, if there's a time where I'm just like, could you just go to your station and do what you're supposed to do, and I'll tell you if there's something wrong?
This statement is going to sound completely arrogant. But a lot of the times, and it's nothing against you.
Okay.
We've all been there. And believe me, there are stages in my life where I was there, and there's still stages today where I'll be working with people in kitchens and they're better than me. Because it's like I'm great for somebody who cooks at home.
Yep.
But if you put me in a kitchen with let's say Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't last for 5 minutes with that guy, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
it's not because he's yelling at me. It's because he's such a better chef than I am.
He is.
So I don't want this to sound arrogant.
He's a chef, yeah.
Right. But having said that, there are times to where I'm ahead of you in the process just because I can do things so much faster.
Uh-huh.
And based on what's cooking, might not be anything to do at the moment.
Right.
Except
And
what you're doing.
that's fine. I mean, I don't mind that.
You just want me to wait and dance in the kitchen.
No.
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 I want you to be in this with me, but
Okay.
at the same time, if I do have something that I need to do, cutting or whatever, or mixing, that doesn't, you don't always have to look over my shoulder all the time. And I will tell you exactly if something goes wrong, like I'm not sure how to do this, or if I need you to look and see if I'm cutting something wrong, or even if it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay.
Just a thought.
That's fair. We can try it out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my throat.
Yeah.
A lot of coughing today.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about books. And we kind of had this, obviously a segue.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, but I read this book called A Child Called It, like a week ago.
Yeah.
And it was basically about this guy. It's a famous story. When he was a kid, he was tortured by his mom. And this was like from the late 60s to the early 70s. And I had thought that this mom was an evil person.
Oh, yes.
And I think I expressed that to you in the phone conversation.
Yes, and I've heard of the book, and I've heard him being interviewed. I can't remember what talk show it was. It might have been Montel Williams.
Yeah.
And his name was David something.
Yeah. It's better than calling him it.
Right, but he also wrote a sequel called A Man Called Dave. When he came out of that torturous household. Yeah, I thought she was very evil too. I mean, from what I understand of the book.
It made me question, though, what is evil? Because, oh, my throat today. Because I like to think that I'm not evil. That I'm a good person. Oh, thank you. You're giving me water.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not poisoned.
It's not poison.
But I like to think that I'm not evil because, I don't purposely go out and torture kids or,
right.
Anything like that.
Right.
But I also consider things like the clothing I buy, a good majority of it is probably manufactured by a child slave somewhere in Latin America or in India.
Yeah.
And how do you reconcile things like that? How do you say, I'm not an evil person, I don't torture kids, but yet you pay into the system that supports torture of children?
Well, it makes you not want to wear anything or eat anything or buy anything, right?
Yeah.
In some ways. But, I mean, I think we are all definitely capable of being evil. But I don't know that buying, and there's really no way to know that, whoever made it, unless you actually do a lot more investigation and research into the shirt that you have in your closet.
But one can make the counter argument that we can speculate based on some of the information that's out there, and we could take the time to do the research to find out who is manufacturing our clothes if we really wanted to.
Right.
And are we choosing to be ignorant? And if we're choosing to be ignorant so we continue supporting the system, that still doesn't make us much better than knowing.
That's
and
a
still supporting
hard
the system.
thing to wrap around because we're so bombarded with clothes and products from the store. Whatever products we buy, like whether it's meat products or otherwise, things like that. Shoes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that buying. I can't even really answer that. I don't know that buying certain clothes is necessarily doing an evil thing as much as it would be if you were inflicting torture on these children. Or, I don't know.
So here's a scenario. And I'm conflicted about it too because I've also heard people say that these sweatshops, there's horrible conditions,
Yeah.
but people kind of need this to move past this evolutionary stage in culture. So, for example, we had an industrial country like 120 years ago. And then throughout time, we moved away from factories. And the idea is that places like Latin America or India will move away from factories at some points. But this is part of the process. I don't know if I necessarily buy that.
I don't know that either.
But a scenario I would give you, you have nieces and nephews, right? You would not torture them. And
No, I
if
wouldn't.
if you found out that they were working in a sweatshop for 14 hours a day and getting paid $1.50, that would probably drive you crazy. But somebody else has nieces and nephews, and that's their nieces and nephews' lifestyle. You know, how do you feel about that?
Oh, it's so hard to wrap myself around that, because you'd like to think that well, and I'm thinking about the United States.
Go ahead.
But when I think about sweatshops, I think about like Asian countries or even countries in the Middle East. Well, when I think of Asian countries, I'm thinking more like China.
Okay.
And Korea. Maybe more China. Because a lot of things are manufactured in China. But it's so hard to imagine that in the U.S. But wasn't there like not conversation, but a controversy about Kathy Lee Gifford in sweatshops?
Back in the 90s, Kathy Lee Gifford had a deal with Walmart where she would put her name on a brand of clothes, and Walmart would basically produce them, but Kathy Lee would promote it on her talk show, and it would have her name on it, so when people would come into the store, she would buy it. And it came out that these clothings were being manufactured in sweatshops. Yes.
Okay, so I didn't know about that. I know that was a big controversy, and she then had to clear it up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it's so hard to wrap my brain around it. It really is. I don't even know how to answer that question.
So
I don't know how. Yeah, I it's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like, I want to believe I'm a good person, and I want to look at somebody like the mom and the child called it and think to myself, she's a horrible person.
Right.
I would never do something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But in a sense, I am doing something like that. And I'm getting away with it because so many other people who would judge that women are doing something like that.
I don't know. That's very hard to... It really is. It's something that I don't think we will understand. I don't know. We may never understand it in our lifetime. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
Yeah. I really don't think that there's any way that we could ever understand it fully.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
You and we've established that I'm not a Christian.
No.
But you are.
Yes, I am.
Do you think, and this is maybe something to think about, do you think that God would judge you harshly from buying clothes that were manufactured in this way?
If
you had the ability to know and you choose not to know.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know all the things he would judge me on. I know that he's going to judge me on every little thing that I've done in my time on earth, but
You should have masturbated more.
oh, stop it. All right. No,
You should have drank more alcohol.
Oh.
Go ahead.
All right, that's enough. You.
Listen to your boyfriend more in the kitchen. Go ahead.
All right.
But back to this topic.
The clothes. It's. He might. I don't know. I know that he's going to be judging me for everything, good or bad, right? Whether it's clothes, I can't say. I really don't know. I don't know. There are things about God that I will never understand in my lifetime, and there's probably I'm sure there's a reason why I won't, but I can't really answer that question because I don't know.
That's fair, but do you think it's something to think about going forward?
Something to think about, but I can't dwell on it because I just don't know how to wrap my head around it. It's just so hard, the same thing would be like, like lifestyles, for example. I won't go too much into it, but would I be judged for doing this, which supports a certain lifestyle? I don't know. I don't know if that's a good example. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it because it may not be a good example. But like I said, I can't really wrap my head around this.
That's an interesting answer, and I kind of look at like people's lifestyle as their own thing, and I don't care if somebody's gay or straight or has sex outside of marriage or any.
The only problem I have with that, and I can't like judge anyone for what they do. The only thing I have a problem with is if somebody tries to impose it on everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, I've known a lot of gay people over the years. I don't know if you're specifically talking about gender orientation, and I've never felt.
No, it's just in this. It's just a generalization of.
Oh, so like any type of lifestyle. So if I was into.
Like if you're like a polygamist.
If I was a polygamist and I tried to. Let's use that as an example.
Yeah, like if you're a polygamist.
Yeah, and if I try to force it on you, that's not fair. No, but I think if an adult wants to do something, that's their own thing, and. Who am I to say that that's a sin, right? That could be like, for that person, that might be the path that they need to follow in this lifetime in order to get closer to enlightenment. I don't know if enlightenment can ever be achieved, but... And enlightenment, you could use heaven instead of the word enlightenment, right?
Mm.
What do you think?
Oh, well, I wouldn't be using the word enlightenment, but... no.
Somebody's been reading too much Buddhist theories then.
No, I wouldn't call it enlightenment.
Okay.
It sounds so humanistic, I guess.
I get that term more from like Buddhist literature.
That's exactly why I wouldn't use it.
Okay, and I'm not a Buddhist, but I do study. I definitely.
It sounds almost New Agey if you think about it.
I think it's been co-opted by the New Age.
Yeah.
A lot of Buddhist language and philosophy has been, and some Christian philosophy too.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So-called Christian philosophy.
So-called Christian.
But I think, I know that I can't judge. I can't really go up to someone and tell them what they're doing is wrong. But if somebody asks me, I will tell them how I feel and how I think about it, or what I think about it. But I'm not going to make any apologies for it. Does that make sense?
It kind of makes sense. And
but I don't think any whatever you do believe in, you shouldn't have to make any apologies for it. But then at the same time, if you look at something in a different way that someone points out to you that you've never seen before, you never seen it in that way before, then that's and you decide that you want to look at it differently, then that's another thing too.
You're saying that somebody, for example, could be a polygamist one day. Maybe they were raised in a family where their father had 10 wives or something.
Uh-huh.
And they grow up and they have 8 wives.
Right.
But they might talk to you who is only for having sex with a partner and believes they used to be married, all that good stuff.
Right.
And they might say, oh, I only need to have sex with one woman and I should only have one wife like Alana, right?
Right.
Then their perspective changes.
If their perspective changes, it does. If it doesn't, well, then that's their decision.
Live and let live.
And yeah, I guess.
You guess. You guess.
Yeah.
You guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
That's good. I'm glad to know you can guess. So, Lana.
Yes.
A Confederacy of Dunces.
Yeah,
Where are you?
Confederacy of Dunces. Okay, it's gotten very interesting. So the characters are slowly being connected together. On a side note, I don't know why some people thought that Ignatius was a woman, as far as we know, the way that he looked. Because to me, it seemed like he looked very much like a man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it's because he looks so big, because he's a huge guy. But why would people be confused about his gender?
I think it's pretty much just because of the size of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for example, Miss Trixie is being kind about it a little bit out there.
Yeah, and she calls him Gloria, right?
Which is great. I love that.
Which is really funny. And I passed that part too where she gets cream on her face, the face cream from Mrs. Levy, because she thinks she's doing her a big, huge favor. and she's lying on Mr. Levy's favorite couch. And it gets cream all over the couch. And I think one time she said before she went to sleep, "I am an attractive woman." Oh, Miss Trixie. But where I'm at, so a few things happen. Ignatius has a confrontation with Dorian Green. Now we find out he's this effeminate guy, which I didn't realize he was in the beginning of the book. And he's the one that took Mrs. Riley's hat and sold it for like $15.
Yep.
Right. And so they get into an altercation after Ignatius gets into an altercation with the women at the art gallery, or the art exhibit, rather. And he slashes into his cashmere sweater, and he's like, "I bought that sweater for $40, which is nothing in our day.
Mm-hmm.
$40 isn't that much. I would think like he would have bought it. He acted like it was like more like $100 sweater or something.
Well, you got to think.
But then back then it was a long time ago.
Back then it probably was $120 or $150.
Yep. Anywho, so he gets into an altercation. All of a sudden he talks to him about politics, and he's thinking of a way to really get Myrna Mink off good, because she's been writing him and writing him all these weird things in these letters that she's been sending him, and he wants to get her really good, and so he convinces Dorian to start some kind of a political party. Well, he's thinking it's like a party, like
yes.
a costume party, and Ignatius is like, "Well, I suppose you can add a costume or two." Like, "Okay, I'll have it at my place. We'll have it at 8. I will tell Timmy," because he saw Timmy the sailor.
Yep.
And I can't remember what he said about Timmy. It's like, "Oh, if I tell him, he's going to scream and faint."
Yes.
And, and Dorian Green is just having a really good time with this. He's having a lot of fun. So I'm anxious to see about what happens with it. Jones, on the other hand, is at the Maddie and Ramble Inn, the grocery store / bar, talking to Mr. Watson about the sabotaging thing. But he's on to George the orphan as to why he's in Lana Lee's life. What is he doing there? He hasn't come by there anymore. And Mr. Mancuso says that he's still reading Ignatius's book when actually George stole it from him. And he's on the force for 2 more weeks unless he gets somebody. And he'll be kept on the force if he arrests someone.
He's pretty much assigned to patrol this bathroom area.
Yes.
And each day he has to come and dress up as a different costume.
Yeah, and in the process he got pneumonia.
Yes.
A cold and pneumonia.
Yes.
And he's been sick for a while. I just thought it was funny. And so where I left off was where they're not Angelo.
Santa.
Yes, they're at her house. Mrs. Riley and Claude Robichaud.
Claude is obsessed with communism.
Yes, he thinks everyone's a communist, including the police. Maybe he's a communist.
Maybe.
And he believes that Ignatius may be a communist too. So I've been this book has gotten funnier and funnier, and I honestly don't feel sorry for Ignatius. Even from the beginning, I never did.
I think I told you this before, but I've now read the book 4 times, and the first 2 times I read it, near the end of the book, I started to feel really sorry for Ignatius. Because of his mother, he doesn't have a dad in his life, and somewhere he got off the beaten path.
Yeah.
I will say, the last 2 times I read it, so I reread it a couple weeks ago, and I read it about 4 years ago too.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 times, I kind of looked at it like Ignatius got what he deserved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure that, and we've talked about this the other day, that we know at least some person that has like an Ignatius Riley quality to them.
For sure.
Right? They're really, really smart, but they don't using their potential to do great things in their life.
And I'm sure most people know somebody like that.
Oh yeah.
It's really hard to deal with those people because you see the potential they have, what they could do with the resources that are available to them, but you can't really make them know what you understand.
Right.
And that can take a toll on somebody, I think.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of friends that are that way.
As do I.
And they're living like the most carefree lifestyle, and I'm thinking, geez, in some ways I kind of wish I was, but I want to do better for myself. And you don't, it doesn't seem like Ignatius is really going anywhere.
That's what it seems like so far.
So far, yes. Not really. I mean his botched protest, as funny as it was, I just wonder how this weird political party is going to happen.
You're going to have to
I know.
read on, but it really connects the whole book together, and I think it's a fun part of the story as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure I'll be hearing more about Mr. Dorian Green.
A little bit.
A little bit. I had to laugh at his character. I thought he was really funny.
I thought that was great, and I liked when he's looking at Mancuso and he's like, "Oh, that's that patrol officer.
Yep.
We like to mess with him." What did he say?
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, we love him around here. We don't know what disguise is going to be next."
Yeah.
I mean, and that one day he was walking in a baseball cap and a Santa Claus outfit. I thought that was hilarious.
That was great.
And he had like a goatee. I think they saw him from across the way. He had like a goatee.
They did. As Dorian and Ignatius are at the weenie cart.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to mention George. George found the space to hide because I think he was hiding from Mancuso. And he found this space to hide in the bun compartment.
His goods.
Yes.
That Ignatius looked at.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what the goods are now.
The buns and the hot dogs?
No, but you know what the goods that George hid in that area.
Yeah, the packages.
But do you know what's in the packages? Or do you just know that Ignatius looked at them?
No.
That'll become clear near the end of the book. It's really funny once you piece it together.
Okay. I'm anxious to read it now. It's really getting good. It really is getting very, very exciting and funny.
Are you planning to go on to the Harry Potter series after?
I think so. Something fun, something adventurous, something I have to finish because I really want to finish it. And I love those books. They're really fun to read.
They are great books.
Yes, they are. The Quidditch matches and the broomsticks and the all these other things, all these weird potions that they put together. And
I'm anxious to reread the series because I don't know if I'd go back to it if we weren't, seeing each other. But since we are, yeah.
You wouldn't go back to it?
Well, it's not. I love the books, but there's so many other books to read, right? And I do like rereading books. But because there's so many books that I've really enjoyed over the years, I can't go back to each one. This is a good excuse, though, to start at the Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back from the beginning, even though you're not. And then read through again.
Okay. Well, I think by the time you're done, I should be done with The Prisoner of Azkaban and The Goblet of Fire. Maybe.
By the time I'm done with all 7?
No, by the time you're done with the beginning books.
Okay, gotcha.
The 2 ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, Alana Jaylo.
Very good, Rick Hammond.
Well, we've had some conflicts today. We've both learned a lot. That even though I'm right all the time.
Oh, no.
All the time.
No.
Sometimes my method of explaining it may not be the best.
No. I think that I'm right, but you just don't want to admit that I'm right.
No, I think what it is I'm a genius, which we both know, but it can be hard to admit that I'm so smart.
No.
It's not that you're not smart, but you're smarter than the average person. It's just that my intelligence level is so high, it dwarfs anybody else's.
Could it be possible that you could be wrong some of the time?
Sometimes I'm wrong in my approach and how I express things.
Yeah, but you're wrong about other stuff too.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
What else am I wrong?
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Uh-oh. I guess we gotta go.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Alana Jaylo.
Rick Hammond.